All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling a region of India that honestly I personally don't know a ton about, and I'm excited to learn more. We're talking about the state of Bihar.
Yeah, Bihar.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be drawing on a podcast episode titled "Exploring Bihar, a Land of Heritage and Change."
It's interesting. Bihar doesn't always get the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
But it really has played a huge part in shaping India's history and its future. That's something the podcast episode really drives home. It's a place that's gone through a lot of change and it's still evolving today.
Okay, so what are we hoping to accomplish? What's our mission statement for this deep dive?
Okay, so our mission today is to dig into Bihar's past, its present, and its future. We want to give our listeners a clear and concise understanding of this fascinating region.
Awesome. I'm all for it. So let's start at the beginning, right? Let's go way back to Bihar's historical roots.
Way back, you're talking about a place that was like a cradle of civilization in India. Bihar was a hub of learning and culture for centuries. Like the podcast mentions, it was home to the Maurya Empire, one of the largest and most powerful empires in Indian history.
Whoa, hold on. The Maurya Empire. Tell me more about that. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh yeah, the Maurya Empire, they were like the big dogs on the block back in the day. They ruled over a huge chunk of the Indian subcontinent for over 100 years.
Okay, so who was in charge during the Maurya Empire's heyday?
Oh, that would be Emperor Ashoka. This guy was a major player, and get this, he converted to Buddhism after witnessing the horrors of war. That decision had ripple effects throughout Asia.
So he single-handedly spread Buddhism. That's kind of wild.
Well, not single-handedly, but his support was absolutely key in Buddhism becoming a major world religion. It's hard to overstate his influence.
Okay, so sticking with Buddhism, Bihar is home to Bodh Gaya, right? That's a major pilgrimage site for Buddhists from all over the world. The podcast mentions it. What makes it so special?
Yeah. Bodh Gaya is super significant in Buddhism. It's the place where Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, attained enlightenment. It's like Mecca for Muslims, but for Buddhists. People come from all over the world to meditate and pay their respects under the Bodhi tree, the same tree where Buddha is said to have reached enlightenment.
Wow. It's hard to imagine the energy of a place like that. So much history.
You can really feel it when you're there. It's almost palpable.
Okay, so moving on from the spiritual side of things, Bihar was also known for its education. I mean, it was home to Nalanda University, which the podcast describes as one of the world's first residential universities.
Yeah, Nalanda was like the Harvard of its day. Seriously, students and scholars came from as far as China and Korea to study there.
So what kinds of things were they studying back then at Nalanda?
Oh, all sorts of stuff. We're talking Buddhist scriptures, philosophy, astronomy, medicine, you name it. It was a major center of learning, a real melting pot of ideas.
But didn't Nalanda get destroyed? What happened there?
Yeah. Sadly, it was destroyed by invaders in the 12th century. It's a reminder that knowledge is precious, and we have to protect it.
That's a bummer. Okay, so we've talked about the ancient history, but what about Bihar's culture today? I mean, is it still as vibrant as it was back in the day?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bihar is a cultural treasure chest. I mean, it's bursting with folk music, dance, and festivals.
The podcast mentions Bhojpuri and Mathili languages, and their musical traditions are supposed to be super lively, right?
Yeah, Bhojpuri and Mathili are like the heart and soul of Bihar's folk music. You can really feel the passion and energy in the music, a lot of storytelling woven into the songs.
And then there's Madhubani art, right? That's one of the things Bihar's famous for. It's those colorful paintings with the intricate details.
Madhubani art is so cool. It's traditionally done by women, and it's full of symbols and stories from Hindu mythology. It's amazing how this art form has gained international recognition. You can find it in galleries and museums all over the world.
The podcast also talked about Chhath Puja. It's one of the biggest festivals in Bihar, right? It's all about worshiping the sun god.
Chhath Puja is huge in Bihar. People gather by rivers and ponds to offer prayers and thanks to the sun god. It's a beautiful celebration of life and nature.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Bihar's history and culture, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about modern Bihar. The podcast is pretty honest about the challenges that the state's faced. It's struggled with poverty and unemployment, right?
Yeah, those are real issues that Bihar has been grappling with for a while. And then there's the infrastructure, like roads and electricity, which haven't always been up to par. but it's important to acknowledge the progress that's been made.
Yeah, the podcast mentions that there have been improvements in education and technology. It talks about how Bihar has some great universities like Patna University and IIT Patna.
Those are both top-notch institutions,
Mm.
for sure. And it's not just the universities. Bihar has made strides in improving rural electrification and expanding access to education.
So are things looking up for Bihar economically? Has it seen any growth?
Actually, yeah. In recent years, Bihar has seen a pretty impressive economic growth rate. Agriculture is still a major part of the economy, but there's a growing focus on manufacturing and services, which is helping to diversify things.
Interesting. So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Makes sense. The podcast also mentioned that Bihar has the potential to be a big tourist destination. I mean, it's got all these historical sites, temples, and festivals.
Totally. Places like Bodh Gaya, Nalanda, and Vaishali are already drawing in tourists from all over India and the world, but there's definitely potential to grow even more.
So what's holding them back? I mean, what can they do to bring in more visitors?
Well, improving infrastructure is key, like better roads and transportation. And they need to market themselves better, really showcase what they have to offer. Bihar has a lot to be proud of, and it deserves to be on the map as a must-see destination.
Okay, so now for the big question. What does the future hold for Bihar?
Well, one thing that's in Bihar's favor is its young population. That's a huge asset if they can provide the right education and opportunities. The podcast talks about how Bihar's youth could be the key to its future success.
So it's all about investing in the next generation.
Exactly. And there are signs that this is happening. The government is working to improve education and create jobs. It's not going to happen overnight, but there's definitely reason to be optimistic about Bihar's future.
It sounds like Bihar has come a long way, and they're still on that journey of growth and change. So let's just quickly recap what we've learned. We started by diving into Bihar's ancient history, exploring its role as a center of learning and culture, with powerful empires and influential figures like Emperor Ashoka. Then we moved on to its vibrant cultural scene, highlighting the energy of Bhojpuri and Mathili music, the artistry of Madhubani paintings, and the significance of festivals like Chhath Puja.
And then we shifted gears to look at modern Bihar, acknowledging the challenges of poverty and unemployment, but also recognizing the progress made in education, technology, and economic growth. We even touched on its potential as a major tourist destination.
And finally, we discussed Bihar's promising future, with its young population poised to play a major role in its continued development.
So with all that in mind, I want to leave you with a thought. Given Bihar's rich history and its current trajectory, what kind of impact do you think it will have on the world stage in the next few decades?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Bihar. We'll see you next time.
See you.